Nuclear stockpiles.
Hydrosonic, I call it super duper.
Nuclear stockpiles.
God bless the United States.
Hydrosonic, I call it super duper.
Nuclear stockpiles.
They don't like the gas.
Nuclear stockpiles. What we are doing is we want to terminate healthcare.
Hydrosonic, I call it super duper.
Nuclear stockpiles.
For our values.
Nuclear stockpiles. Nuclear stockpiles.
For our values.
Hydrosonic, I call it super duper.
And then we'll out. And then we'll out. And then we'll out. Nuclear stockpiles.
De-engineering.
Nuclear stockpiles.
I felt really good almost after taking it.
Nuclear stockpiles.
Free health care for illegal.
Nuclear stockpiles.
Immortal principles.
Voila.
Immortal principles.
What we are doing is we want to terminate healthcare.
Immortal principles.
Assuming you're believing in atmospheric filth.
Nuclear stockpiles.
People want other people to stop shooting and knifing people to death.
Nuclear stockpiles.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Chip is look at who's missed me while I was gone. I don't have my side lights on. Sorry, I'll cut myself out a little better. It's a professional endeavor. I'm a pro streamer at this point. This is a business. I'm treating it like a business. What business doesn't open with only half their lights on? Hi. Hello, everybody. Yeah, we're back. We're back in the studio. We're back home again. It was a lovely week with the family. And with my kid getting to see his grandparents and all that stuff. And this little buddy. Yeah. Little buddy. Just purring away and leaving hair all over my jeans. I had to run an errand for Summer this morning. She's got her show coming up in Vegas and on the 31st. And it's just a lot. And they have props and stuff, some of which won't fit in her car, will fit in mine. So I end up being, stunt driver, which is fun, which is fine. I'm totally good with that. Glad to help. But this morning they had to get it in there before they started rehearsals at 10, and that means travel at 9-ish. And hopefully somebody will be there to let them in at 10, so we go over there and drop. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the process. And so here I am today. Oh, look, my subscribe today thing is still up. Let's see. I think I had that on a button, didn't I? Hi, buddy. Yes, Chip. Yes, you are reaching for a wire to try and I get it. Let's see. Is that this guy? Yeah, that is. Okay, so let's see. What can I do? Oh, I know what I can do. It is a good reminder to have the subscribe today up, but it's a little much. So what I'll do is I'll go Streamline Desktop and then take a source and I'll put it right there. And then I'll go to this guy and then to me, and then reminder, and now it's there, and I can look at that. I assigned a button live while you guys are watching. That's how technically savvy I am. Look at that. And then I'll break my stuff and it'll freeze and it won't work. Okay. Anyways, hi, welcome, good morning. I know 30.9, we're getting to 31 very fast. I told you that, you know, there's certain points where we hit it and it will get a stride because we start opening up to other venues. And then it starts to grow on its own. You start looking at some of these weird people who have like near 1 million subscribers. And you're like, how did that happen? Like, well, it happened like that. You ever heard that idea that like, if you have a dollar bill and you fold it in half and you keep folding it in half 50 times, how thick is the stack? And it's like from here to the sun. You ever like that's exponential thinking? Yes, 40K will be our biatch. This is true. So, or the whole like, let's bet a nickel on this first hole of golf, and by the 18th, and we'll just double it every hole. How much if I win? Will I win at the end? And it's like $6 billion or whatever. They tend to stack like that because the more subscribers you have lead to more subscribers and stuff, and then we ultimately have to slow down the chat so I can talk to you guys. Mark Meadows is going down big time. I think so, Dan. I think that's going to be an increasing story. I would love for that dude to get 5 years for voter fraud. Just, you know what I mean? Just like of all things. And I have to say, like, everybody's clamoring for Trump to go to jail at some point. You know, they're like, why won't he get thrown in jail? I'm for it. I mean, there's clearly things he's done in his life that have, you know, deserve it over the years for decades. Just the sketchy awful he's been engaged in. But it'd be nice if he went last. So like every enabler of him had to go through trials, watch him stiff arm them, call them a coffee boy, right? And sorry, Poo Ninja, I'm not reading fast enough. These are my own thoughts, and you're just going to have to deal with them. I mean, that's really the show. This is not how Sparks reads chats. That would be insanity. And you all know it. You've seen some of the chats that you've even participated in. And you're like, if someone read this verbatim, aliens would strike the planet and we would all have it coming. All right. So thank you, your mom, the gamer. It's nice to be back. And it's nice for Chip to be back. Yes, it is. Yeah, buddy. Hi. I missed you too, buddy. I missed you too. He's like, I just need to lay here. You need to go into the other room and do that thing where you play video games while listening to lectures from Yale professors on economics or history, and while I sit on your lap, and you just got to do that. He's very big. He's got a belly on him because his head's still growing, so he's eating like he's still a kitten. Yeah, Crystal. So my theory is we always get distracted by Chip. My theory is let all of the people who helped Trump go to jail first so they can just, that son of a, and he can't even pardon them. Oh, you know what I mean? Like he would, right? He only pardons people. Sorry, you have to have compromat on him or he won't pardon you. That's how it worked. That's why he didn't pardon any of the Jan 6ers. That's why some people got him and other people didn't. That's why. They tried to sell him, and he was like, nah, not enough money. You have to have PP tapes, or I'm not. You have to have seen the PP tape at some point. You had to gone to Russia on the 4th of July 2 years ago, or 3 years and change ago, and watch the PP tape live, and then come back, and then maybe I'll consider it. Right? Mark Meadows was not on the trip, so sorry. Flynn definitely has. He's seen this stuff. Are you kidding me? He witnessed and participated in what would definitely be crime. So he's got to like get him out. Yes, Clarence Thomas is in the hospital. I wish him good health in retirement. I think the important thing is to recognize that You know, there's stress has a lot of negative effects on your immune system, and I wish him a long and healthy life away from the Supreme Court. So I know a lot of people are hoping that it's COVID and he goes, no, I don't do that around here. We're never going to do that. Sorry. I don't wish ill or death on anybody unless I'm responsible for taking care of it myself, at which point you won't hear anything about it. Because it will be the one rare circumstance in life where you're confronted with a life or death situation. That's that. But every other time, if any conversation can be had, I don't wish death on anybody. That includes him, especially like that. Forget it. Sorry. I know people are like, but no. Sorry. That's the line I draw. Political differences are not enough for me to wish somebody to drown in their own mucus. Not going to happen. So, but sometimes your health is more important than your job. I do not have a body count. No one is keeping track. So, when is Matt Gaetz going down? Right when he thinks he's beaten it. Because isn't that how you want it? I've gotten away with it now. Like, from a political standpoint. Hi, buddy. Yeah. He's licking my thumb for some reason. I mean, I don't blame him. It's a lovely thing. Nicely dark today. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Obviously, that has to do with a good portion of what's in the news lately. It's hard not to respond to some of this with a bit of embittered rage, as it were. This is the... Right now, the Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmation is going away. Spoiler alert, she's going to get confirmed. Like, this is a lot. From some of the Republicans, this is like wailing and gnashing of teeth. But she's not an extremist, no matter how much they want to paint her as such. They're just trying to shoot her down. Hawley, if anything, is a great example of their absolute hypocrisy on Kavanaugh. They're like, things were taken out of context. People didn't even remember. Oh, the stories were all, this was all dreamt up as it was a hit piece on her. And then he engages in one himself. Like, come on. And then ultimately, Kavanaugh got through. Sorry. You don't get to vote for Kavanaugh and not vote for her. Doesn't happen. Like, forget it. She's going to make it. So this will be wonderfully boring most of the day. There will be footage of it later. Even like MSNBC has like a QR code in the corner if you want to watch it without any, commentary, which I think is a great, and just as an ongoing news strategy is a great thing. Have your own sort of, since you're paying for the feed anyways, on your website, have a live feed of it. You cut to it regardless. It just goes to the server. So people should be able to watch it. And then all you're doing is there's somebody in charge of doing graphics for it at the station. Okay, you done? Are you done? Is that enough? You've covered me in enough hair? Good Lord. Honest to God. And today I wear black jeans, of course. This is good stuff. There's a whole other chip right here. Look at that. That just rolled off my leg right there. It's like a chip mouse. It's a little mini chipper. It's got a tail and everything. All right. I got a vacuum later. Thanks, Chip. Hi. So, hey, Holly, shine box, right? What dumb thing has Cruz said? Oh, we'll get there. He apparently the police had to be called because he was being a dick to staff at the airport in Bozeman, Montana. How's cat hair pillows? I've created a pillow that people can all enjoy. Hold on, I would need a mustache for that. Let's see. This guy, what's happening? What is the darkness here? Is it because this guy's tacked in? What's happening? Is it because my curtain is up? This is going to annoy me. Okay. Hopefully that'll do. All right. A little bit better. Yeah, that's better. There you go. See, it only happens when I move in. It's my camera. Yeah. Camera's compensating. I don't know why. It's a weird new thing. Firmware updates. So yeah, so Cruz was in Bozeman, Montana. Here, I'll show you that. Hold on, give me 1 second. The Cruz, Montana. The footage is from. Whoops, sorry, wrong. I typed it in the wrong thing. Hold on. Cruz, Montana. Yeah, here he is. So he was apparently his flight was delayed, what have you, and he was being such a prick. And I guess he wasn't wearing his take-it mask or something, but they ended up having to deal with him with a police officer because he was being so belligerent. He went full Cenk Uyghur. Honest to God, I think there's a future in after we all bond as a country over the power and importance of democracy and understand that any differences we have are are marginal compared to the greater threats of the outside world, and we agree to have an overall. Sorry, that was loud. That we agree to have a stiff arm any violent takes, and we get along after all this. And we put Cruz and Cenk Uyghur can have a show called Airplanes, or Airlines, am I right? Yeah, that would work. Use the taser, don't tase me, bro. Yeah, sorry the video sound was drowning me out, sorry. But yeah, so he was being a prick in Bozeman, Montana, was apparently what was going on. He was flipping out at the airport, and then he apparently had, he had to go because nobody gives a shit that you're a senator if you suddenly become a flight risk, because COVID brain is real and anybody could, yeah. Cenk versus Dr. Oz for supremacy of Turkish America. Yes, they're all gonna. I hear that Cenk and Dr. Oz are gonna go join ATIM, and fight for to free the Uyghurs. I kid. Neither one of them would know what I was talking about. Hal, if you're treating it like a business, where's my bonus for trolling the trolls? Foggy, I'm sorry. You're an intern. That's how it works. There's no such thing as a paid intern. You know what a paid intern is? An employee. It's an entry-level employee. And I'm sick of this bullshit about interns being paid. You're getting college credit, so you don't have to pay for the other thing. If it's not the kind of business where you can learn anything, then go to your school and say, we shouldn't get credit for this because I'm not learning anything. But nobody does. Boy, can you be a consultant? Yes, all I need is a good idea or two. So anyways, so he missed the check-in window for his flight, and he actually pulled the "Do you know who I am" card. This might be a little inside baseball, but I in the hundreds of thousands of miles, literally, I have flown over my life as a stand-up comedian touring the country. I've missed my check-in window a couple of times, and I've, at the same time that I missed my check-in window, been recognized by the person behind the counter because of my work on Queer as Folk or Lab Rats. These are the most common ones where they go, "Oh my God," right? Behind the counter at an airline. And at no point did I even consider pulling a, "Hey, since you like my stuff, can you void all safety precautions and get my bag onto the airplane when I clearly fucked up, and then wait for me to get through security late so that everybody on the plane can be held up because I was on a show you liked." What kind of an asshole? You know what I say when that happens? When's the next flight? It's my ass. Sorry. That's how it works. Dead reckoning. Well, no. The term dead reckoning is made sweet, sweet love. But I'd like you to do me a favor, though. Yes, I held back javelin missiles so I could get on the plane. Right. Besides ignorant battling, also offers speed relicing for guitar, bass, and hotel rooms. Oh, fantastic. Good stuff. Anyway, so that happened. That's what Cruz was in there for. Lindsey Graham apparently everybody thinks he's drunk. This is what I would like to point out, though, is this is life right now. This is an example of life right now. Russia continues to strike civilian targets in Kyiv and across Ukraine. That's like in there like the weather. That's now in there like COVID-19. All precautions continued about like that. Like this thing that I always get. This is always in my feed. This is always there. Because, Twitter's boosting it right now, and they're making sure that, it keeps in the forefront of your, they're curating news. I obviously give a shit, so they're going to put it in my give a shit list, right? And obviously this is in my give a shit list because of the stuff that I look at and all that kind of stuff. So, but it also, the fact that it is showing up in almost like weather-like language is heartbreaking. So 925 killed in Ukraine, including 75 children, 1,496 injured, including 99 children. Actual figures are much higher. These are the people that are verified. Yeah, they're grabbing people out of Mariupol and they're taking them to Russia and they're going to try them for war crimes if basically they're hostages. Russia is taking hostages. I mean, this is what it is. Like that has been accused of abducting and deporting. Abducting and deporting. You can't deport somebody from their own fucking country. He's kidnapping people. Russia is kidnapping people. Fucking hell. It is believed he is transporting them deep inside Russia. He's kidnapping them. That is the phrase. Dear Telegraph. The word is kidnapping. This is also, there's another phrase for this as well. Human trafficking. That's right. For our QAnon friends, Russia is engaged in the human trafficking of civilians, women and children, because the men they're just killing. So the civilians, the women and children, they're human trafficking them deep inside Russia, deep in the heart of Russia. But Trump is the savior of Pizzagate, right? Russia's defense minister said that Ukraine must surrender by 5 a.m. on March 20. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like they have to survive. They have to surrender today by 5 a.m. or their morning. Yeah, by 5 a.m. The answer, of course, is fuck you. Kyiv citizen takes away his belongings left in the apartment after the rocket attack. My view has improved, but the place is a bit drafty. I'm sorry. Russian military started throwing stun grenades at participants in a pro-Ukrainian rally and opened fire in Kherson. The local newspaper, Most, that's the name of it, reported. Some grenades exploded right under protesters' feet, wounding several people. Well, yeah. They don't care. I remember how the Germans attacked us. They didn't mess with us like this. International security editor and NPW CNN speaks to two elderly Ukrainian residents that escaped Kherson, the first city captured by Russian troops. Oof. This is the shopping mall in Kyiv that they fired on. Clearly the site of a biolab, because there was a nail salon. And there was, in the wastebasket, there was nail clippings, which is biological material that may contain a fungus that you could weaponize. It's completely justified, obviously. Sorry, I have to bring this up 1 second, if I may. Is obviously completely justified. I insist. Christ. Residents of Kherson forced a Russian truck to turn around their driveway. They just walked up in front of it. They would not. Yeah, they're unarmed, and they're just walking towards it, waving flags, and giving the finger. Obviously, this is ultimately going to be looked back on as one of the most powerful aspects. One of the greatest weapons the Ukrainians have against this invasion in many ways is their own civilization. Yeah. He was saying Ukraine number one. That's what he's saying. It's not me normally, but I wish him gone. Save the children and elders, F him. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, here's the thing. There's a bit of like fear of lack of karma in the universe when somebody like Pol Pot can die old and overweight in their bed. But there is also something to the madness they drive themselves in. How am I against are you against the no-fly zone? Yes. Yes. I don't want U.S. airplanes engaging with Russian airplanes. That's a mistake. We can create what's effectively a no-fly zone with anti-aircraft gear, anti-aircraft missiles inside the country. That's what's happening. They're moving all this stuff in that effectively, rather than have them, because what a no-fly zone is when somebody tries to break it, they get escorted out or will open fire. So it's a constant engagement of a possible ratcheting up, okay? The no-fly zone doesn't mean they can't. It means if they does, they'll be shot at by other planes. That's what a no-fly zone is. It's not what is called for here. It's dangerous, and it's an escalation that Russia wants. This is an escalation that Russia hopes for to justify an even more vicious attack on Ukraine. The minute there are NATO forces flying airplanes against Russian airplanes in that space, they will say, we are at war with entirely the West. This is our land and they're trying to take it from us. It'll shift the nationalist fervor argument to the Russian people, and they'll go, see, we told you, NATO's there, whatever. So it's important for the safety of Russia that they, for the safety of Ukraine, and I guess ultimately the Russian people, that we don't have this kind of engagement to ratchet it all up, right? Period, end of story. It's non-starter. But anti-aircraft batteries, where we are training Ukrainian fighters and the Ukrainian military to use them, is way smarter. So instead of airplanes taking them, you can create a no-fly zone by any plane that flies in is going to get hit because of the gear. And this was the funny thing about this is that missile batteries of this ilk were exactly why, Russia was saying, NATO wants to put these things there. NATO had no intention of putting those kind of missile systems in Ukraine over the last 10 years. I mean, now they certainly do. Why would you now? How could you go on without? If this stops tomorrow, Russian troops leave, they give back Donbass and Crimea, and they piss off entirely, what would be the sense of not putting in anti-aircraft batteries in there now? It basically forced this to happen, whereas it wasn't before. Effectively, this was the economic seizing of a resource-heavy country by another country that's running out of resources. It's that simple. Run by a guy who could be tipped in that direction because he's a lunatic, by his oligarchs who are like, oh, oil and gas, oh, port cities, oh, civilization and tourism, right? You shoot Russian planes down, it won't matter to Putin how. Yeah. Well, no, it will. They're shooting them down all the time. We don't shoot them down. The Ukrainians can. And that's an argument that's harder for them to make. They can't ratchet it up. We're not going to do it. And it does matter. It absolutely does matter. It's a pretext for a greater war. There's a lot you can do without doing that. Period. End of story. Putin announces Russians that are pro-Ukraine will die. Right. Yeah, he's purging them from the country. Apparently there's like private airplanes flying out of Ukraine. Look at this shit. God damn. And this dude, there's fucking no way he doesn't get a statue in this country forever. Good on him. Finally, someone giving comedians a good name in the world. Russia's restricting social media. Here's what we know. Here's what we know. They always do. Fuck off. What's up next? China is restricting social media. Saudi Arabia is restricting. So, you think? Jesus. Russia's foreign ministry has summoned U.S. Ambassador to Moscow, John Sullivan, over Biden's remarks about Putin. Such statements by the American president, unworthy of a statesman of such high rank, put Russian-American relations on the verge of collapse. On the verge of collapse. And they were going so well. And by the way, why is that Russian-American relations and not Putin-American relations? Sorry, dude. Broom your own mess. Arab oil men are ready to... What? RIA Ravosti's new headline. Arab oil men are ready to destroy the USA. It claims insufficient U.S. support for Ukraine, which followed the Afghanistan and Yemen failures titled against the U.S. It also hints at Russia, China, Saudi, UAE anti-hegemonic axis. Right. Yeah, let's have these four fuckers. Oh, God. Again, good luck in your senior year. The idea, look at the cat hair I have on me. Chip, I love you. I just want you to know that. I'm very happy to have cat hair on me again. Yeah, this whole thing, I've heard this from a bunch of people. That the UAE, Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia, UAE, like the mini OPEC, are going to join together. By knock yourself out. Why don't you just, while you're at it, why don't you just say, the mob, the triad, and Mexican cartels are going to join together and work in concert with each other. It's like this bullshit that Russia and China and Saudi Arabia and a couple of these other countries are going to put together a bureaucracy. What? To have their own reserve currency so they can all argue about, no, the ruble's worth more than the yuan. Really? I think yuan's worth more than... No, the dinar. No, get out of here with this stuff. Stop it. Like, I don't know why when anybody brings this up on CNBC or any of these other, like, financial sites, they're going to try and... Please. Get out. Yeah. I bet North Korea is feeling left out. No question. Yeah, right. We want a hegemony too. Unfair. Right. Well, that's because these are the true hegemonic powers. We're not doing that. No matter what Noam Chomsky says. Sorry. We have absolutely been engaged in resource wars over time because that's what the entire world economy runs on, and everybody else is willing to shoot somebody to get it. So we get engaged in shooting wars about who gets shot over that stuff. But as we start leaving those resources, especially oil and gas, which is why getting out of oil and gas is a national security issue. Permanently, end of fucking story. Honest to God. That as we get away from these things... Oh my gosh, it's Chud. Hi, am I ignoring you? I am? Well, hello. Did you want some love too? Did you hear that? Chud just decided to come in and say hi. Come over here. Come on, hold on. Where are you? I don't want to step on you. Hi. They wanted to... Oh my gosh, it's Chud. Chud, big mama. It's Mama Chud. Hi, Chud. Hi, Mama Chud. Look, I still have Chip under my arm. Hi. She's like, you have been gone for a fucking week. What is this? What? I am being left out of the snuggles? We got pets last night. When I literally came in and sat down on the couch just so you could get some pets. Yeah. Did you bring a pet billy goat home from Kentucky? No, I did not. However, my dad told a story while we were all sitting around the table. Or no, my mom did. My mom told this story while we were sitting around the table about this. Whenever you hunt deer in Peaks Mill, where I grew up, first of all, you had to get a hunting license, but you also had to register the deer you killed at some okay site, whatever. They'd have like a place where you can keep a list. And the Peaks Mill General Store was one of those places. So you'd roll in there and go, I got one deer. And then, and occasionally somebody'd check, but, that everybody, it was an honor system. And this guy rolls in and he goes, I got a deer. I finally got one. I thought it was a little early in the season, but I managed to do it. And they're like, okay, well, because you write it down and then somebody has to go out and put eyes on it. That's all they have to do. And most of the time you tie it to the front of your car. So they just look out the window and go, yep, there it is. But he had it in his trunk. And I was like, you what? He's like, I have it in my trunk. Oh, thanks, Raphael. Cat Fur Museum on show. Oh, seriously. He had it in his trunk. She's like, your trunk. So they were like, oh, this asshole shot a fawn. Now we got to go look at it and whatever. So they go out and they open his trunk and he'd shot one of the preacher's goats. Yeah. It was so funny. She's just purring like crazy. So, I hope he cleaned it first, but they have... no, he didn't. Yes, this is my OnlyFans. There she is. There you go, Mama Chud. For those of you who don't know, Chud was feral and lived under my house. Yes, you did, didn't you? Lived under my house with a family of possums. They divided the underside of my house between them. It's like an old sitcom where they put tape down the middle of the apartment. So it was Chud and the possums, the opossums. I am from Kentucky after all. And Chud, had a sharing agreement with it, right, girl? Yeah. And eventually, it took me almost 2 years to coax her out from under the house to eat in front of me. I literally made friends with the cats. I mean, the cats. I made the crows around my house faster than she did. I literally made pets of 2 crows in my backyard, feeding her because I would put out a thing of wet food. I'd pour it out because she wouldn't eat it out of the can initially, and then I got a bowl, and then I put it in the bowl and put the bowl out, and then I would sit there with the can in case I could leave it behind, and the crows would land and eat the rest of the cat food out of the can, and they'd sit right next to me on the table and go gah! Like that, and I'm like, I'm all right, and I would go in the house and come back out with another half can of food for them, and they would eat the cat food, and then they'd kind of walk around near me a little bit and then fly off. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, she is. Chud has this weird, she's got a note to her purr. She goes, so she sounds kind of like, she's like half pigeon. Remind me of a Jerry Clowers joke. Oh my God, a Jerry Clowers reference, Stellar. That's amazing. Cat hidden under the deck. No, Chud is cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. She's named after the horror movie from the 80s. Even though she's a sweet old lady. Yeah, you are. All right, now I definitely have to. This is ridiculous. I can't even open my hand. Look at the cat fur here. Has no one petted you while I was gone? Good Lord. Oh my gosh, there she is. Heavens, the murder troll. This is obscene. Oh my God, you guys. All right, there'll be more petting later. Good Lord. Look at this. Ridiculousness. This is what a terror. All right, somebody put on porn music. This is, hi ladies, how you doing? Waka chicka waka waka wow. Waka chicka wow wow. Waka chicka waka chicka waka chicka waka chicka. Hey, how you doing? All right. Hello, ladies. Bow chicka wow wow. Waka 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 bow chicka wow wow. All right. Puh. Ah. All right, I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to need it later. Jesus. All right, that's close enough. All right. Let's go to, all right, whoops, Senate GOP. All right, this is the whole thing. This is GOP frontrunner Missouri. Oh, Eric Greitens. She also said that one of her children came home from a visit with Eric Greitens in November with a swollen face, bleeding gums, and a loose tooth. He said, Dad hit me. However, Eric said they were roughhousing and it had been an accident. The two she added later died and had to be removed. Yike. Ex-wife accuses Missouri GOP Senate candidate Eric Greitens of physical abuse in affidavit made public. Yeah, that's been around for a while. Like, this guy's been a creep forever. As well, cuffing him and yanking him by his hair. Jesus. That's not roughhousing. For the record, I'm a big fan of roughhousing. As a matter of fact, I think roughhousing, especially for boys, is particularly healthy, in a loving and fun way. Wrestling, play fighting, very cool. It's a great way to get the energy out in a way that shows them the boundaries of their own strength and ability. You have to teach people that, teach your kids that there's a limit to how hard they can play with someone before they start hurting that person. And if they never learn that because they never play even close to that line, when they discover that line, it's usually too late. So you want this, the big paint roller one, that's the one for the furniture. I just use it on myself. Julie. Yeah. Roughhousing is super important. 330 in the chat. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Support the show in any way you can. Am I going to the Grammys? No, I'm not. I don't pick my music based on whether it wins awards or not, clearly. I'm crazy that way. I just love music. So let's see. Lindsey Graham, everybody's like, is Lindsey drunk? Trump mocks Lindsey Graham, calling him progressive senator from South Carolina. Oh, God. Now, I don't like the way he was told, Kavanaugh. He was mistreated, and he's obviously now on the... He made it through, but I don't like how he was treated. And people are still talking about him like he's some kind of an idiot just because he came out here and wept and mentioned squee and talked about beer. And I like beer. Sometimes, some people like beer. I like beer. You like beer. She likes beer. Sometimes it's the best way to introduce yourself to a young fella at a bar you haven't met but just a couple of minutes ago. So, Hal's only into rap. I used to like some rap when I was younger. I mean, I enjoy the Beastie Boys a great deal, but almost as a novelty act. But as a general rule, no. Says calling Republicans racist is not going to fly with us because they're used to it. All right, well, fish are used to the ocean, I suppose. Trump called Lindsey Graham, who was present, the progressive senator from South Carolina. We'll be covering Trump's little endeavor today, later on this afternoon. Lindsey Graham Says the media will be your biggest cheerleader. They are in your camp. Why would the, quote, media support the first woman, a black woman, to serve on the Supreme Court? That's weird. In this country? Odd. Barry and Lindsey Graham tried to say President Biden wants Putin to win. I feel like they've taken... Oh, yeah. That's very strange. There's a lot of gibberish around like these guys. If we only let people play exactly who they are, it'd be the death of imagination. Yeah, well, he's talking about like playing gay characters or, that kind of thing. Like, please. First of all, as someone who was on Queer as Folk and was only on Queer as Folk because a lot of gay actors wouldn't audition at the time. I mean, obviously times have changed, so people are more open about this, but also because other actors who were on the show who are gay literally had that held against them by some casting people, thinking, well, they were just playing themselves, so they weren't really acting. They were gay playing gay, so they, that's all they can do. And effectively ended their acting career or ground it to a squeaking halt. By the way, many of those casting people themselves being gay, which is really weird, enforcing their own kind of stiff arm on the careers of their fellow artists who are gay. I'll never understand that. But let's just say only hiring someone because their sexuality fits the part means refusing to hire people because their sexuality doesn't fit the part either way. And because majorities mean larger numbers and minorities are smaller numbers, if you're part of the minority, you won't get to play characters in the majority because that'll be the rule and nobody's asking for that and it's fucking stupid. Sorry. You know who gets to play the part? The part who will engage the audience in loving and caring about the character. Period. And I mean, it's seriously weird. It's cool that they're, inclusionary, and that's very important. People shouldn't be excluded because of their sexuality is the problem, and that's what this would set up. That's what it would happen. That's what you're arguing for if you argue that only that type should play that type. You know what I mean? If the audience can look at you and believe that you're that part, whatever it is, and this is why it's mostly around LGBT issues, because you don't have people crisscrossing race as much anymore, and you also have an access to more. I think the area where this most came up for a long time was Mexican Americans or Mexican actors playing Native Americans or the like. And that was a big part of it. So, and that's a believability issue too, as far as what people expect people of a certain period to look like. Whether that's true now or not, but yet we have a lot of them, great American, Native American Native American actors who've done amazing work and opened that up for a generation, which was great. That was a shift that was necessary and terrific. But when it comes to something a trait that surpasses race in a lot of ways, and it's a characterization portrayal, then it has to be wide open. Otherwise, Wes Studi's amazing. It's like I said, it mostly comes up with LGBT issues. And the issue with that is, do I have cat hair on my nose? Sorry. The issue with that is that no one in their right mind would ever argue that gay people can't play straight characters or shouldn't. That's insanity. And since the majority of roles that are going to exist are going to be those things because that's the majority of people, period. Excluding people, because here's the thing. One of the issues that comes up, I think, with trans actors is that trans characters should be played by trans actors. I mean, the argument would be, for total acceptance, is that a trans actor can play the part of the character like natural, how do we language this comfortably? The inborn genetic characteristics of the character. Hence, a trans woman could play a biological woman in a film if the audience, believes it and can pull it off, right? That would be the best way, because then you've got the true integration of that person into the life they want to lead. Whereas if only trans people can play trans people, then trans people can't play, biological males or females and stuff, because it just seems like they should be up for the part if they can pull it off. So I would not be offended if I lost a part to a trans man who looked the part that they were casting and could do the character, because they're not a biological man. How do they know? Right? You know what I mean? That'd be ridiculous. And I think the goal, should ultimately be that, that trans actors can play, they could certainly play trans characters, but the goal would be that they would play the roles that were more in line with the gender that they experience. It's the languaging about it changes all the time, so I'm gonna not worry about offending them. Crying Game was about a trans character, but that was a reveal. But the character was, effectively about the sort of female characteristics of that character. Like, if it had just never been the reveal, that wouldn't have been a oh my gosh moment in the story. But the love still would have been real, was the point. Right? I think that one trans female has played females and not trans females. Yeah, I mean, I think that should be the norm. Tom Cruise can play Jack Reacher. Only the people who already loved Jack hated Tom. Yeah, I mean, it's a different story. It's like The Equalizer. I mean, I like Denzel's version, the series version. The new one is ridiculous. Just because of it's the funny thing is the Denzel character is much more in line with what the reality would be of The Equalizer. The Equalizer, interestingly enough, was this British dude who basically carried a gun when no one else did. And so he was just willing to kill on your behalf, even though it was a TV show, so they didn't. It was just, he just messed with people. But the idea was that he was old and therefore didn't mind doing away with some people. Whereas but it wasn't very physical. It was a lot of, chess and gunplay as far as the storyline goes. Whereas the Denzel thing was much more akin to the fight scenes in Sherlock. But I love both of them. I love both of those movies. Yes, Linda Hunt played an Indonesian man in A Year of Living Dangerously. Exactly. Like, that's fascinating to me as a characteristic, because you believed it. She won an Oscar, I believe. So the point is, it made you care about that character in The Year of Living Dangerously, and that is your goal. Yes, Edward Woodward was in the original Equalizer. That's right. Who would play Hal in his movie? That person hasn't been born yet. Although I would like to cast Billy Unger, William Brent, if he would, he'd be a better looking version of me. I think that would be great. I'd be honored. I mean, he played my son in something. It'll work, right? Yes, Barbra Streisand and Yentl. Right. Well, Rock Hudson was just gay playing straight. And if you'd gone by the rules that people want to establish that you should only play your sexuality on screen, Rock Hudson never would have worked. We would have never known him. It would, there's so many people. I mean, honestly, Tootsie I wouldn't qualify as that. That was about a man, in theater trying to, play another part. But he was ultimately convincing. I suppose it works in the conversation. Should trans people be able to compete in pro sports or collegiate? It's a tough decision. I think yes, but I think they should be. They should have transitioned. The period of time they transitioned should be a significant amount of time. You can't change. You can't decide tomorrow and do it because your physical, your body. Men's hearts are bigger. Our lung capacity is bigger. Our bones are denser. Like we have the benefits of testosterone in our, that make us, physically more resilient. Now, I think the swimmer just came in 5th or something like that. And I think that is more than likely the effect of the continuance of the hormone treatments that she is taking over time. And so after time passes, yeah, but I mean, like making it that you had to have transitioned, say 5 years ago before you can compete or what have you is, might be an answer to that because it's not about being trans. That's the issue. It's about your physical makeup and how much testosterone you had in your system up until the moment you competed. Right. And again, like a lot of the trans issues that we're having a conversation about in society right now don't really have a lot to do with trans people. What the concern is everywhere is that straight males will take advantage of gray areas in the law because they're so as not to hurt feelings or offend people in an area that is murky and confusing for even the people involved. You have to leave so much wiggle room for people expressing themselves and how they express themselves. And in doing so, there's a lot of loopholes in that where straight males could take advantage. This is old school, like the Russian gymnastics team about the idea that they would put men in dressed as women to win gold back in the 70s. That was all that was one of the stories. And the idea is that they had to start doing like hormone tests on people to make sure that they were really women competing because some countries would win gold medals with men posing as women. That has nothing to do with trans people. That's not trans people's fault. That's not trans people's responsibility. That has nothing to do with their life. That is straight males, and in some cases, I suppose, straight females. Or, I mean, I guess their sexuality doesn't matter, so they could be gay. It doesn't matter. But they're biological males and biological females posing as trans to take advantage of the fact that they could win. Or that's the big concern. That's why they keep saying biological men can compete in women's sports. The concern going around is not about trans people who are transitioning. They are about if there's no standard, if there's no line, if the line is very blurry, then straight men will take advantage of it. And that's a concern. That's why the straight men in locker rooms, straight men in women's bathrooms, that's the fear. That's what they're talking about. And if you don't believe me that there's a reason to be concerned about that, again, that has nothing to do with trans people. This is opportunistic sex offenders taking advantage of loosening of rules to compensate for a historical discrepancy in interpersonal relationships in humans. These guys are seeing that as a window where they can take advantage of it, and that's where the concern is. And if you don't believe me, go look at the sex offender registry for your neighborhood. It has nothing, again, and I think it would be this. I mean, this is where there's the failure of the right wing around their own conversational talking points, and the fear on the left, I think, to some degree, of offending. That's where it gets murky in the conversation, because people on the left will say, "Well, you're saying that trans people are, sex offenders or whatever." And then on the right, they're saying that you're saying that anybody who says they're a woman today is a woman today biologically, and that's that. And the truth is way in the middle. The reality is that there are sex offenders among us. Repeatedly, go watch an episode of To Catch a Predator or 10. Go look at the sex offender registry for your area. And again, this has nothing to do with the conversation about trans people. This is not their responsibility any more than Rachel Dolezal is black people's responsibility. She's not. And if Rachel Dolezal was to get a scholarship like Soul Man that's meant for black people, that is not an example of affirmative action run amok, and it's not black people's responsibility. And the same way that if there's a sex offender who recognizes that in an attempt not to offend anyone, and in an attempt to who gives a shit about anybody, I don't care, in the middle of that, because there's a gray area, they can slide in through the gray area and take advantage of something and put themselves in an opportunistic situation where they can sexually offend repeatedly without being called out because people are afraid of offending, or other people don't even know what's going on because of that. In that gray area, those people can take advantage of that. That's why it requires a conversation, requires scrutiny, and requires a clean conversation about it. But on the left, because of the fear of offending anyone's expression, even expressions that don't revolve around your material needs, which is very weird. By the way, any personality expression you have that doesn't change the toilet you would use, or the bathroom you would go into, or any of those other things, people treating you weird because you look funny in public to them, is not the government's problem. It's not even society's problem. It's the government has no responsibility that if I have my hair down, or if my son has long hair, if they misgender us, which happened twice on this last week, because my son and I both have long hair. There was literally a miss your daughter moment about me and my son. If that happens, that's not the government's responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the airline. It's not responsibility of somebody in a fucking mall. It just isn't. There are areas that materially you can support someone in their rights and their privileges and their ability to operate anywhere in the world. And then there are areas that are none of your goddamn business. And somewhere in there, opportunistic monsters will take advantage of those kind of things. In the same way that Bill Cosby would take advantage of the fact that he was a celebrity and America's dad. He's supposed to be trusted. This is a trusted space. He's supposed to be trusted in this moment. And then he fixes you a drink and you're unconscious. That guy. Matt Lauer, same deal. He's supposed to be trustworthy and I'm supposed to trust you. And this is, and yet, right, dude, I called Hal Sparks a girl. It happens. Who's the chick with the broad shoulders? I appreciate it. Obviously, if it only works when I'm wearing a jacket these days. Thanks very much. I don't know. Anyways. Yeah, I got 17 inches of hair too, Hal. People are weird. Yeah, that's fine though. It's not anybody else's responsibility except my interpersonal relation with that person. And I can either choose to give a shit or not. It doesn't matter. And it's no one else's problem. It's not even the person who made the mistake's problem. Who cares? But when it comes to bathrooms, locker rooms, sports, those kind of things, the concern is straight, cisgendered males with full awareness of their sexuality and full awareness of their gender identity will take advantage of gray areas in the law to win awards they don't deserve and take advantage of the fact that they were born or with denser bones, a bigger heart, and bigger lungs to win rewards that they did not earn naturally because they were not competing on an equal playing field with other people. That's the concern overall. And there has to be a limitation on that part of it. And when it comes to trans athletes who transition from, living as biological male athletes to living as biologically female because of the amount of hormones in their body and the transition that they've gone through, there is a middle zone of time between those two things where you have your natural advantages as a male and your ability to compete with females legally. And that part of it is the rub right now. That period. So the answer would be is that, especially once you get into Olympics or professional sports, that you absolutely could during your, once you've transitioned, get there. But simply, the non-binary language of, if I decide I'm a female, I am starting today, right now. That's in your interpersonal relationships, not in a material sense. And by the way, dissuading that over time. Oops, my screen went sleep. Hold on. Wake back up, silly. There it is. And pretending there's no difference is disingenuous about the reality that women live in. It's disingenuous about the reality you purport to live in as someone who's transitioning. It is a complicated conversation we can't be afraid to have. And you're going to see, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide, where we have a little more time to talk about these things in a broader sense. That in the case of someone that, like women who have been regarded as TERFs, for example, one of the reasons that they're falling into this is because of that window no one is talking about. That distance between the physical advantages that males have generally and the physical disadvantages that women have generally, and the transition point of how long it takes for those traits to wear off, to where Title IX still offers protection for female athletes in female sports because of their inborn differences. Where's that transition from? And if there is none, if you're just going to say there isn't one, they don't exist, that day one, that's it. All you have to do is say it and you're it. At that point, you are effectively saying we can sacrifice as many women and girls as we want to straight male sex offenders who are willing to take advantage of this law to buy themselves in, free entry into wherever they want to go. And then ultimately, if and when they are charged, to be put in a female prison with no referential transition in their life. You're saying you're willing to sacrifice those simply because you don't want to deal with that honest conversation of the transitional point. And again, this is not trans people's problem. This has nothing to be. And this has nothing to do with being trans. This is about dealing with the heterosexual sex offenders among us who, will slip through while we're opening the door for someone. That's it. JKR wants to blame trans women for abuse by cis men. No, I think her concern is that cis men are using trans women and the exclusion and the inclusionary rules that are being put in place for trans women as a way to do what they're doing, and that there is a difference. And I think that's what's missing on both sides of the conversation, maybe because it's being excluded. Again, this is the Rachel Dolezal conversation, I believe. You're not going to find trans people on any statistical level that differs anymore, probably less in terms of sexual assault of other people in general. Statistically, any group is going to have statistically mental illness and problems within it. That's just groups. 100 people, 20 of them are going to have issues, right? That's true of all humans. So, but if you a greater number in one particular group or less than number group is where people get into chasing statistically problem areas. That's not what this is about at all. And again, I think part of what stops the conversation in helping us move forward as a society to be more accepting of trans people is that somehow this is on their shoulders. when it should not be any more than Rachel Dolezal is a black issue. She's not. I got news for you. Technically, I don't think she's a white issue either. She's just an anomaly who's made up some sort of weird thing in her head that she should be allowed to do this, and taking advantage of a situation where one group doesn't want to see, she was able to slip by for a long time because a lot of people, especially I would imagine white people would, that are in and around the NAACP and in supportive groups like that have a lot of relationships with black people in their lives that are normal, and they just kind of go, that none of them are gonna think to go, is she? I'm just looking at her like nobody's gonna have that fucking conversation. So she was able to slip by while that conversation couldn't be had. Because the white people that have black friends didn't want to offend their black friends by pointing at what was everybody was sort of weirdly agreeing was a black woman in their presence, and go, yeah, but she's not, And then ultimately, when there was this huge sigh of relief when she was busted by everybody around her, going, I fucking knew it. Oh, goddamn. And again, not black people's problem, not white people's problem. Just this person. In the same way that straight sex and heterosexuality and homosexuality are no more a proclivity towards pedophilia than the other side. So pedophiles are not an issue of heterosexuality or homosexuality at all. They are not. And where they crisscross with one another, where they're, be it Catholic boys or the Matt Gaetzes of the world. Again, this is an issue where they are taking advantage of normative behaviors in whatever community to hide their abnormal stuff. And this is the same kind of conversation. A lot of eye rolling. Oh, totally. Mr. Mayor, can you imagine hearing that out? Yes, I can. We will get to that soon. I promise. So, how I tend to not really disagree, but skeptical they ain't related. No, they're not. Lots of people do stereotyping. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. You know why? You do it all the time. You stereotype other drivers as the kind of people who will obey traffic laws. It's that simple. You do. Every day of your life, right? Every day when you're driving, you don't go, these motherfuckers, every person. There's so many cars that go by, you don't even think about it. You stereotype other drivers as the kind of person who would stay on the other side of a yellow line. You trust them all the time to maintain patterns. You do. And when they don't, you don't go, ugh, drivers. Sometimes you do, but you don't really mean it. What you mean is rando assholes break the chain of normalcy that we're all operating in. Minivans, right? Who walks around obsessed with strangers' junk, really, though? I don't think a lot of people do. We are all quite definitely products of our environment. There's no question. And a lot of the people who, consider themselves like the more hardcore someone's political beliefs are, the more stringent they are in their political beliefs, the more it's obvious that if they were simply brought up in the opposite home, they would be on the absolute polar end, opposite end of their belief system. A gay man was receptionist at a spa I worked at every day. He asked if he could squeeze my marionettes. Your Maria Antoinettes. That's very strange. Yeah. Guten Tag. Thanks. Abiento. I wouldn't associate a stereotyping with trusting we follow the same rules of the road, but you do. You and I both know that there are not only people who fall asleep at the wheel or who drive drunk, but there are also people who steal cars and drive them like maniacs through cities. We've all seen, slow speed and high speed chases from helicopters on the news, right? You've watched them. You don't really expect to be going the other way on one of these streets when it happens. None of the people who get hit by those cars ever do. So you absolutely stereotype other drivers. That's why I always say when people are like, I don't trust the government, I don't trust other people, people are dumb, American people are dumb, and like, asshole, how'd you get here? I drove here. Well, then you trust strangers all the fucking time. Of course you do. Don't be ridiculous. 7:30 in Germany. That's perfect afternoon. Oh, thanks. DT, thanks for being here. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mornings, Mega Worldwide. Like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Venmo, Super Chat, whatever you feel like doing. My computer keeps going to sleep because I'm leaving it. It's just mad at me for ignoring it. I'm just talking at length. So Josh Hawley was one of the stories in here. He's the one who's talking about the attacking her record on he's using clips of her asking questions of witnesses in her courtroom. Like, explain yourself. I find that interesting. Tell me more. And in a courtroom, you can either go, what are you talking about? Did you say what I thought you said? And then listen to in your courtroom. You're the judge. You respond to a witness saying something like that, and then see if they tell you what they're really thinking under oath from that point forward. 'Cause they won't. This goes to like interviewers where people are like, I don't know why he wasn't harder on him as an interviewer. Why didn't he say more than it? Now, there's definitely softball interviews, but there's also coaxing interviews, and there's a value to. And I think the Yes Men and like Jordan Klepper, am I getting his name right? From The Daily Show, they do a great job of this. They're terrific at kind of luring the real beliefs out of, Sacha Baron Cohen is amazing at that, but he does it in character, so it's obvious. Whereas there is a baseline version of it in journalism where you don't push back against their argument until such time as you've heard a full version of their argument, and then you test parts of it with other questions, right? Yeah. During the Barrett, Josh suggested asking a Catholic nominee about Griswold was religious bigotry. Oh, the Barrett hearings, yeah. On the first day of Amy Coney, okay, yeah. Head of the opening of Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearings, Senator Marsha Blackburn cites Griswold v. Connecticut, the decision to establish a right to birth control for married couples as constitutionally unsound. As a constitutionally unsound precedent. Oh, she cities it? I think she meant cites, but that's okay. Typos being what they are, you can't edit. Head of opening Ketanji. I think here, Twitter, gather round. Twitter verified. Verify Stephanie Miller right now. What's wrong with you? Get on with it. You know how many people with like 50 followers I've seen with a blue check mark? What the fuck is going on? It's a real account. Anyways, have an edit button, and then a little like under it, there were edits made to this, and then you could see the list if you click on it. That easy. Mm-hmm. The dudes who like try to sell Macho everywhere they go, just it's a red flag for me. Just saying. You know what I mean? There's a lot of overcompensating. And what that used to be read as, and this kind of goes into our conversation before, is before we started opening as a society and recognizing the worth and value of the gay and lesbian people among us, that a lot of them had to overcompensate to fit gendered stereotypes to protect themselves. That's pretty much, that ship has sailed. You're going to find an accepting environment around you, God willing, with the exception of the oldest haulers. I think that, sorry, I'm blurry on YouTube all of a sudden. I think that's a thing on their servers. But they do this with patriotism too, which, you know, methinks milady doth protest too much. And I mean, this dude looks like he's wearing his suit with the coat hanger still in it. And yet there's this whole kind of like bro-ish energy that he keeps trying to sell. It's like, dude, I'm sorry. These are these guys who, like, in their head, they look like Joe Rogan, you know? Yeah, so and she's taking notes on what he's saying because she's going to reference. She knows what's up. She's been through this shit before, and they've asked some of the same questions before, trying to get rid of her before. Which is basically her reading back the language of these witnesses and going, "That's interesting. Tell me, how many of those do you think that's actually a member?" And what they were talking about in this one particular case, and I'll see if I can find it, was that in one of the cases before her, yeah, I'm gonna go pretty. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff, yeah. But let's see, long record of in every single child program we can find Judge Jackson deviated from the federal sentencing guidelines in favor of child pornography, which is not true at all. Let's see. While court records show that Jackson did impose lighter sentences than federal guidelines suggested, Hawley's insinuation neglects critical context. And blah, blah, blah. 3 other judges did the exact same thing. And again, you're talking about like age differences between people. It's a difference between a 40-year-old dude with videos of infants on their hard drive and a 19-year-old girl and her 16-year-old boyfriend sexting each other, right? That's a difference. There, you know, it's definitely something that requires legal intervention, but it is wholly different. Those are separate things, and pretending they aren't is in and of itself criminal. So this is the he goes. Let's see. Wrote down note on his blog. When deciding how to go below the typically imposed sentence around 54 months below the calculated guideline minimum. Federal judge sentence below the child porn roughly 2 out of 3 cases. Right. And again, 2 out of 3 cases are not these like shed full of hard drives, you know, like, I don't know, somebody like, I'm just spitballing here. Somebody who makes a lot of posturing about it in public might have in, say, their shed in Missouri off their house that they live in while they're serving as a senator. And I mean, just say, like, I mean, I'm of course kidding. I just relax. All right. So, no. Okay. Prison terms for defense convictions as opposed to producing the materials have been subject to long-standing criticism for stakeholders. One of those, less than 1/3 of non-production child pornography offenders receive a sentence within the guideline range in fiscal year 2019. Judge recorded this. Yeah, that's the same thing, because usually it's related to the other stuff, and also they're being sentenced for the stuff they're doing, and then they find the other stuff and they add on months to a otherwise long sentence too. That's the other thing. That's like nonviolent drug offenders. One of the things about like pot possession being way up here, and like these people are convicted for this many months for this kind of thing. Yeah, but they're also there because they had a gun and they were shooting at someone, and then they were engaged in this. They also got sentenced for this. It doesn't mean that this sentence wasn't, which didn't involve the gun, was just something they had on them as possession when they were doing the gun thing. There's a lot of those folks in jail too. The majority, I would say. There are people in there who are nonviolent just for possession. They shouldn't be. Period. All right. Multiple independent fact checkers go, this is the... And anyways, so let's see the Washington Post one. They have the listing. Yeah, so he put this in there, this quote here. The possession, distribution, and the ruling denying compassionate release for medical reasons to Jeremy Sears, a convicted sex offender. There you go. And there's a part where is it? She said, yeah. In one tweet, he asked, Judge Jackson has said that some people who possess them, quote, are either in this for collection or the people who are loners and find status in their participation in the community. What community would that be? The community of child explorers? Okay. She was asking a follow-up question to a witness who had spoken of them. I was just going to say, as a follow-up to that, Ms. McCarthy, is it your experience that this category of non-sexually motivated child pornography is very small? Because you had them broken out in your slide, the non-sexually motivated, and I just found that so interesting because I assumed that everyone who's involved, I'd assumed that everyone who's involved in this kind of activity was sexually motivated. So the people who are in this for either the collection or the people who are loners and find status in this participation community, but would be categorized as non-sexually motivated, how many are we talking about? She's asking, like, this was the thing presented. This is the thing presented in this slide in the defense of this person, which, by the way, is horseshit. We're not talking about cherub paintings. Piss off. But that was one of the defense experts that was brought in to push back against this because everyone's entitled to a defense. And if they don't get the defense and full vigorous defense, they can get out just because they said, I didn't get a defense. Even if they didn't deserve it ultimately and their defense was bullshit, they should be able to present the defense because we don't want people on the street going, yeah, all I had to say was I didn't get a full defense and ta-da, right? This the party. How many are we talking about? He left that part of it out. Are in this particular, the people who are in, yeah, has said that. No, she presented it as a long-form question. So it won't surprise anyone that Josh Hawley is an idiot, but it might point out that I guess he seems to be coming to a roundabout defense. How to put it this way, of these kind of awful, because essentially he's presenting the idea that they shouldn't be able to present a defense like this, and if they aren't able to do it, then they would absolutely be able to get out of jail on appeal, and therefore he's hoping that by stopping certain questions from being asked in a trial, he can guarantee himself an out in a defense in the future, perhaps? I'm just spitballing. Judge Jackson has opined there may be a type of less serious child pornography offender whose motivation is not sexual, but is the challenge or use technology a less serious? Okay. That was, again, this thing. I was surprised at some testimony with respect to the motivations of offenders and that there are people who get involved with this kind of activity who may not be pedophiles, but who may not be necessarily interested really in child pornography, but have other motivations. I was surprised someone would say that. I'm surprised someone would bring that up. Now, I can't say as a judge until I make my ruling, this sounds like bullshit to me. But, like hot steaming bullshit, actually. But, because that would be seen as prejudicial, and then you could get your client out on my prejudicial statement in appeals. Does anybody recognize that that's a big part of our legal system, and it's good that we have it? Jesus. Who get involved and may not be pedophiles, who may not be necessarily interested in this, but have other motivations. I was surprised at some testimony with respect to the motivation of offender, and that this is the testimony that there are people who get involved in this. She's not saying they exist. She's saying she was surprised that people would say that. Yes, exactly. Just like for the articles. Go down to the yeah, but. Third paragraph. If it's one of the smaller, if they do it in smaller chunks, 5 or 7, but it'll be there. Look for the yeah, buts in every article. All right. It's just smart. And again, most journalists write the yeah, but. So you got to give them credit for that. And the editorial board will create a headline that draws clickbait attention because they're all trying to make money. It's not even the writer's fault sometimes, because sometimes you'll see a headline that's totally fucked compared to the article, which is very tepid. The climate one that's going around today. Yes, a huge spike in temperature at the South Pole. Still below 0, but there was a huge spike. Right. Still not thawing the ice, but it's a huge spike. It's normally negative 50 degrees Celsius, and it was 0. That kind of thing. Most people who read the headline thought it was 80 degrees at the Arctic Pole, at the Antarctic Pole last week. So I'm wondering what you could say. So I'm wondering whether you could say that. There could be a less serious child pornography offender who's engaging in this because of their motivation to challenge. They're very sophisticated technologically, but they aren't necessarily interested in the child pornography piece of it. I'm wondering if you could say that. And then the person would go, what the answer was no. That's what she was getting at. So are you trying to make the case that these people just do it because it's just hard? They just like challenges. You know what I mean? They've done all the 1,000-piece puzzles of the moon, and they've finished all this, and they're just, they've tapped it out. They've solved calculus to the nth degree. They can recite pi to 1,000 places, and now the only challenge left is trying to download child porn and not get caught. It's just hard. It's very difficult. So are there some people who do that because could you say that there are people who are doing this? The witness answered that over time, such people become more of a tribe and more serious offenders. The answer was no. Could you say that? No, we could not say that. Okay, well, thank you. Exactly. So it was a way to get to taking that out of the appeals court's hands the next time. You fucking dolt. Because if this was brought up, somebody would and could, in an appeal, say, we brought up that some of these folks, and the judge completely did not reference that in her statement. Or she did, but in a prejudicial manner that said she obviously didn't even consider it. She just dismissed it out of hand. And that's how you get out of jail if you're awful. You want it to, you want the conviction to stick. I swear to God, like what kind of court system is the right wing asking for? You want the judge? Are we talking about like ISIS beheadings right from the jump? He looks guilty to me. Whack. For fuck's sake. Meanwhile, when these assholes get busted, they're like every wiggle point in the law, they're like, oh, but he actually said, but there was an and a but but there were 2 buts and an and there was, Your Honor, there's a 3 but rule. Piss off. This is, by the way, this is a judicially prudent judge tourniqueting any possible response where, Jesus Christ, where the defendant could get out on appeal. Oh, thank you, Sandy. Yeah, don't forget the commas. Yeah, Trump's like, they say $1 million here or there, and like one comma's out of place. Like, motherfucker, we're not talking about prose. We're talking about dollar denominations. Yeah, a comma and a period make a huge difference. Here's a good idea. Take $100 written fully and take the period out. Now how much money do you owe me? You think that period's important now? Jesus. So anyway, so that's what he was doing. And she, by the way, if anything, this points to her doing her job very well. So, and she will get confirmed again. And then there's references to Mark. These LGBTQ plus soldiers are fighting for freedom in Ukraine. Excellent. Dmytro was getting ready for a rave. Boris was just back from holiday. Then Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine and their lives changed forever. We spoke to LGBTQ Ukrainians who became soldiers to fight for their country and their rights. Well, yeah, I mean, literally, Putin, again, while we in the West are having the complicated conversation about how we can be more accepting of people without awful people among us taking advantage of that exception and using it, right, to their advantage, while society's trying to be, the good guys in all this. While that's happening, Putin is literally referencing like gender conversations as a predicate for why they need to stamp out Ukraine. He said like oysters and gender diversity. He literally said that in his speech. Look, I'm telling you, we have a lot of issues in a democracy because we should. Democracies are where issues go to get solved. You entrench them in dictatorships and autocracies and monarchies and theocracies. Democracy is messy because like a fucking kitchen is messy when you're cooking dinner. Could Hugh Grant be the next Doctor Who? Here's what we know. That'd be cool. I'd be for that. That'd be lovely. He'd be hilarious. Nadine. Please don't take my man. What is this? Tory MPs evidently feel Ukraine means he gets a breather. It's entirely the wrong assessment. If the party is serious about standing up to Putin, it should have a vigorous leader. This one shames them and us. Oh, they're doing the same. By the way, the same conversation the right wing are having over here about Biden. Yeah, they're having in England, they're having in Germany, and they're having in France because they're all getting their marching orders from the same goddamn people. What in the world? Photograph the unsuccessful Russian attempt to contact Nadine Dorries, right? Same fucking people. Like, it's hilarious. Nadine. Well, at least this moved to the top. Garoppolo. Is Janine okay? I'm kidding. Okay, this is all football stuff. Don't care. Don't know. Oops, I'm sorry. I moved the screen over. There we go. So, yeah, the Holly thing's going to be around. And Merrick Garland like, he didn't get a fair hearing. He didn't get a hearing at all. Right? That kind of thing. It's confirmed by the Senate to replace Merrick Garland in the U.S. Any revelations about her experience by members of this committee is political theater. Yeah, because she's had all these, where's this? She's had like 6 hearings, and the rest of them had like 2. How is Biden Putin's puppet? He's not, by any stretch. What's happening, CSL? Morning. Why would Merrick Garland, U.S. Attorney, ever put up with a situation where a human rights lawyer is locked up in his own country being prosecuted by a private corporation? Because he's not being prosecuted for what he did. He literally withheld evidence. Quit it. It's not the same thing. Please. All right, what is this? Oh. Madison Cawthorn calling Charlie Kirk show during January 6th to say he used wheelchair to transport multiple weapons ahead of Capitol Treasure to arm those around him. Jesus. Yeah, everybody's reacting to this. Yeah, this is like meme city. The LSAT, the regular. I don't know why I'd be interested in LSAT at all. Let's just go to entertainment. Happy Holly. Oh, there you go. Why is McDonald trending with Arby in music? Schumer, oh, she's in that new series. Britney Spears working on new music after 6-year hiatus. All right. You mean after the break where if she made new music, her dad would get most of the money? Gee, I don't know why you wouldn't be inspired to make music when you know that everything that comes of it will be stolen. I don't know why. It's just not, you can't. By the way, this is the same shit like when Prince couldn't even use his own name because Warner Brothers owned every derivation of it. Prince and New Power Generation, Prince and MPG, Prince and the Revolution, Prince Rogers Nelson. They owned the right to all of it. So that's why he became a symbol for years until the contract was over. So she doesn't make music. Well, she hasn't for a while. She might now. And again, like, it's dance music. It's not my thing, but if it makes some people happy, cool. That's how I feel about all music, even music I don't like. Prince Albert and Can, yeah, they had the right to everything, Fish Delay. She may have, this 6-year hiatus may have been simply that if she did any music during that period, she would have lost any revenue that went to it. Why is the Dark Knight Returns on it? What is it on? Oh, people are listing. Dark Knight trilogy is simply DC's greatest movies and the best version of it. Yeah. Oh, I see. Because people are picking from these movies. Pick one from each row. Well, this is easy. Batman Year One, Batman Lego Movie, Batman Forever, and this Batman, the original one with Prince. I don't know. It's hard. This or the movie from the 60s. I'm torn between these two. Oh my God. By the way, the Dark Knight Returns, this whole graphic novel, this was like, when this came out, you know who I thought they should have done this film, like shot for shot. They should have made this movie, The Dark Knight Returns. And you know who they should have cast in it at the time? Let's see if I can use some images from it. Let's see if I can get a good picture. Yeah, I'll find one. Hold on. Oh, this is kind of the best picture I can find. Hold on. Get back here, you silly. Damn it. Hold on. I'll show you in a second. Give me a second. Clint Eastwood from Heartbreak Ridge, 1986. Like by 1990, like if he'd have bulked up, he absolutely could have played the aging Dark Knight old man version of him while still looking like grizzled and tough. Like old Batman, that would have been so awesome. And depending on the timing of when they started filming, if they'd have done it 89, something like that, Christopher Reeve would have been doing that instead of riding a horse. He could have played Superman in it. He'd have been busy. But you bulk him up a little bit, not even much. And by the way, anybody ever look at Clint Eastwood and wonder where somebody thought there he is, and that's the Any Which Way You Can, Every Which Way But Loose, Clint Eastwood. Anybody ever wonder where Hugh Jackman, somebody went, oh, he could be we should cast a guy, find me somebody, we need a new, have you ever looked at like old pictures of like them next to each other? It's hilarious. Yeah. I'm just saying this Clint Eastwood as old Batman would have been so friggin' great. And Ruth Gordon would have been in it. Get out of here, you horse's ass. You go to church tomorrow. You need Jelly Roll killed my mama. Drove my daddy stone blind. Leave an old lady alone, forcing her to eat dog food, wash her teeth in Clorox. Pfft. Right turn, Clyde. Just saying, right though? Am I right? This Clint Eastwood as old Batman? Oh, thanks. Yeah, my Ruth Gordon's pretty fucking solid. On a good day, I can do all of Harold and Maude. And by the way, probably, what's my beef with TYT? Other than the fact that they foment violence and talk out of their ass nonstop, get out way over their skis on stories they know fuck all about, and have to roll back every argument they make after they've already committed umpteen episodes of stochastic terrorism. Besides that, nothing. Oh, that and their all or nothing attitude about elections that lead to people like Trump getting in office. Besides that, yeah, if I had a way to, if I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I would go back in time, cast The Dark Knight Returns with Clint Eastwood in that. And by the way, Affleck was just denied a good script. In the same way that, to some degree, Val Kilmer and Clooney were denied good ones. But the look of this is fucking fantastic. It's just the shit storyline that they were going with. The writing is garbage, unfortunately. That's even true of the first of the Nolan films. because he makes I think it was actually in the second one, but in the Dark Knight in Returns. Rises. Yeah, no, the Dark Knight, right? The second one. The names overlap in my head for whatever reason. That in the one with the Joker, they have that opening scene where those guys are fighting, and he comes in and saves them, and then they go, hey, like, what makes you any different than us? And he goes, I'm not wearing hockey pads. And I was like, fuck you, you rich billionaire asshole. I have more respect for those guys now because all they've got are hockey pads and they're still doing it. Do you understand? They're not wearing like high-tech bulletproof military gear that you just tripped on because while you were off fucking, learning ninjutsu. Molly Ringwald as Robin in Dark Knight Rises. Yes, right. She was a little older at that time. You need somebody younger, right? That was one of the issues, was that they have this, they make this standard about him. Like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. And you're like, dude. Just like trite bullshit. He's gone for a while. So they, these guys take the law into their own hands, try to scare criminals by dressing up as Batman too. They're protecting their own families and their lives and all that stuff, wearing these, these makeshift outfits, and he's better than them? I don't think so. Oh, thanks, Dee Dee. Well, I'm glad I provided an alternative. Oh, God. Ben Sass is up in the things, too. Oy. What is this woman thinking about? Ben Sass? I don't think she is. She looks like she's literally haunting him. This looks like like an Annabelle moment where somebody looks at this woman across the room and then suddenly she turns into the doll, and then she, like, you blink and it's just a normal woman again who vaguely looks like her. And then you're like, Jesus. It's like the Annie Wilkes moment where she's the waiter at the end of Misery. He's also one of the people who said, like, we're in a no-fly zone. Fucking hell. I need to go out and say we need a no-fly zone. Why? Because I know there isn't going to be one, and I know that people will get killed because there aren't planes there, and I can act as if those people's deaths were preventable if we'd have just ratcheted it up and created a worse situation. How easy is that? Fucking hell. Is it Mehdi Hassan on the show? I see. These are, yeah. Because that's what I thought it was. Putin, inspired and energized by a philosopher who has been dubbed a total fascist, now himself behaving in a fascistic way. In a fascistic way. It's in a fascistic way. He's being a fascist. He's a fucking lunatic. There is no there. Quit it. Yale historian tells what he believes will change the invasion and end Putin's war. Have we seen Putin since they cut away from him at that big rally? Has he been seen since? I mean, I'm sure I don't know that he is no, we'll do this as well. I'm not looking at any of it so we can enjoy it later on. It looks like a shit show. Flynn shared Telegram post. Putin already won. Only the details are being worked out, and we entered the looting stage a few days ago, as every single corrupt Ukrainian official is enacting their exit strategy with any money, jewels, gold, everything in their hand. Like, Jesus Christ, this fucking creep. Anti-war protests in Brighton Beach. Yeah. NATO resupplying Ukraine with the latest anti-tank weapon. Oh, the tractor. They're flying in a tractor. That's cute. Fuck. 25 listed. We found $17 billion worth of homes, stocks, yachts, and jets owned by linked to 35 Russians with alleged ties to Putin. So they hold that shit for him. You know, there is capos or whatever. Civilians don't matter. Putin gave them time to fuck off, but they did not. In intercepted phone calls with relatives, Russian soldiers admit they shell civilians and loot shops. They also say they were sent to Ukraine as cannon fodder. This is all, that's pretty much all true. Oh yeah, this is the Scheherazade, which is like fucking hell. That's the name of one of his boats. The Scheherazade. Why not the Schadenfreude? At this point. The rumor is it belongs to Vladimir Putin, but there is not much proof, only talks, and that's why it hasn't been arrested yet. It just sits there in the port of Carrara. Well, you know, how much is it worth? $3 billion? Something like that? Sink it, and if somebody comes back to claim it, we'll go, sorry, here's $3 billion, go rebuild it. I think preemptive sinking is a good idea. Just kidding. Although, or am I? 1951, Putin's parents decided to try for an evil megalomaniac, right? Spy boss report. Oh yeah, this is a couple days ago though. Spy boss reportedly arrested as Putin fumes over Ukraine invasion. That's one of the the stories is going back and forth. Is he's just snatching up his own dudes. Is it the same guy? Top commander Russian FSB has been placed under house arrest. Yeah, this is the same story. This is a couple days ago. So, quit it. Busy. New York Times reported that a second FSB official was also under house arrest. Yeah, this is the more than 7,000 Russian troops have been killed in less than 3 weeks of fighting, according to conservative U.S. estimates. Again, that's more than we lost in Iraq and Afghanistan combined in 20 years. I am still live, Karen. I started late, though. And yes, I should be going. Hello? I should be going. Can I show you guys something real quick? I want to, before I go, let me see. I got to turn this down. I got to put my headphones in before I can do it. So, when I started going to China to do my show, which originally was supposed to be for Phoenix TV, which was supposed to be an independent company not linked to the Chinese government to put, let's see, 10 days ago. Yeah, I guess it's this one, is it? Hold on. This is friggin' amazing. Hold on. I went to when I was going to China and doing my show, the idea was that the show was paid for by, Chinese billionaires and millionaires or whoever, the financiers of the production company that wanted a show that was a travel show for people, blah, blah, and they, lighthearted and yada, yada. So I went over to do that because as a Sinophiliac who likes Chinese culture, I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I know a lot about it. I'm glad to go. It'd be fun. And then it became increasingly clear that this was yet another propaganda project by the government. And we were being dovetailed towards things they wanted us to talk about and away from stuff that they didn't. And before it got too bad where I was like, all right, come on. When we started doing the eco cities, and I was like, the entire recycling program in this thing, the tanks that they use to separate the garbage are concrete. They're not real tanks. They're painted. I showed you guys some of the footage. It was just bullshit. And I was like, oh, come on. And on one hand, I was like, well, at least they're trying. And they're trying to put a good face forward. And that's what they want, yada, yada. When in reality, they were just hiding it. Right? Yes, real Chinese culture is in Taiwan right now. No question. And Taiwan is a country. And if I'd even mentioned that over there, the show would have been shut down, which gives you some indication. But so when I started going over there, though, to start doing the show, there was these two guys, Lao I-86 and Serpent ZA, that were doing a show that they would ride around on motorcycles in China and look at the stuff there. And it was a great way to look at some of the places like ahead of time that we were going to kind of get a feel, not just what they were telling us, but what other people were posting. So I looked at several different vloggers and people that were doing stuff in China to kind of get a picture of the lay of the land so we know where to shoot and what we might want to cover and what might be cool there well before. So just normal stuff. But as I watched their stuff, you could see the arc of them being that they had previously had a romantic view of China and that it was dying on the vine. You could watch it fall apart, right? And now they're just speaking openly. They had to leave the country. They had to flee China with their families. They both have Chinese wives and kids. And they had to get the fuck out of there just to protect themselves. So they're now over here doing videos about this stuff. But one of the things that came up, was Serpent ZA posted this video of this is a kid in China. This is posted on Chinese social media, giving a presentation to his class about what's going on in Ukraine.
那个普京认为那个乌克兰啊，实际上就是一直想帮助美国，所以我们先要去打掉乌克兰，然后并警告美国来了一场下马威，然后来了一场杀鸡给猴看。
因为前苏联解体时，作为
And then they go, by the way, this is a kid that's that kid's school presentation. Then this is a teacher saying this to the class, and this is the class's response. So they go, Ukraine is as second son of the former USSR inherited a huge military legacy. So what school children in China are being told is that the nuclear missiles that Ukraine had while they were part of the USSR, which they gave back after they separated. Let me say that Ukraine had nukes and they gave them back to Russia. They're like, yeah, we don't need these. This is what the school children in China are being told.
次子的乌克兰继承庞大的军事遗产，第一遗产核武器库，其中威力最大的是洲际导弹、撒旦。
By the way, this says the most powerful weapons of these nuclear weapons are the intercontinental missiles, Satan missiles, almost unstoppable force.
无人能敌。
And then they ask these kids, whose soldiers? We're soldiers.
谁的团？
Okay, so that's his opening of his show or whatever. If you want to check it out, I'll post this video later on. But he shows some of this footage as well. Where they snatch people up. This is more of the kids thing. I don't want to take from his take on it, and you should watch it. So that's Serpent ZA. Why would Ukraine want to be a member of NATO? Asks a kid in the class. Totally natural question from a kid in the class that they're filming.
为什么要加入北约同盟国？苏联解体后，那个乌克兰那边就留下了2100余枚核弹头，然后这些核弹头呢，恰好可以对各个国家产生。
Yeah, they got 2,100 nuclear missiles when the USSR broke up in Ukraine, and they could use them to strike any country.
哎，美国一想啊，有2100枚。
And the U.S. was like, wow, there are 2,100 nuclear warheads.
核弹头这么好的事情，可能会对俄罗斯展开巨大的打击，所以就想把那个乌克兰给靠。
That's why Ukraine wants to make Ukraine an ally, because of their free Russian missiles, the 2,100 Russian missiles. And the kid is, by the way, reading from the state-sanctioned lesson plan. That's what he's doing his report from.
为了让他加入自己，最后联合攻击。
So they can launch a joint attack on Russia.
然后最后把俄罗斯给吞掉。
Why would this sort of
Yeah, right. So this is again, this is called this is a video called "Mask Off Moment for China" that Serpent ZA had put up. It's, I posted him and Lao Y86's stuff before. Most of it just their earlier tourist stuff. But this one's particularly galling. Like, he goes through it. And let's see, he plays this one at the end. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Hold on, Jake. Oh, I think I have a call today. Hello? Hello?
Hey, Hal, it's Jeff.
Hey.
Just wanted to see how you were coming along with those additional photos.
Oh, okay. I'm on the air right now. Let me call you right back.
Okay.
I will call you right back after. I'm almost off.
You got it.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Dun, 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 dun. There was an article they're going to do for Nerd Halen. So that's the publicist calling because they need photos for them. So I thought that I might do that. Anyways, much love, and I will see you guys later on. I should sign off now. China has what? The best Disneyland, though? Not the best. Although the Tron ride is awesome. They should just make it. They should take the Tron. Here, Disney, if you're listening, and I think you are, the Tron ride you put in China, in Shanghai Disney, bring that to the United States and call it the Iron Man ride and put it in California Adventure. You're welcome. You can thank me later. You can put it over where the Little Mermaid Theater is, where nobody goes. And then you can move the show that's in the Little Mermaid Theater onto the main walk in California Adventure, the other side where the restaurants that nobody can get to are. Yep. I love those guys. Yes, I too watch their slow disappointment, John Johnson says. Yeah. Is that the South African guy who lives in China? Yes, it is. Well, he doesn't live there anymore. All right. Put the Tron in Kentucky. Yeah, that wasn't, by the way, that was the best part of it. The rest of Shanghai Disney is kind of a wash. Got to be honest. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it, but it's pretty minor. Fewer rides than other parks, and it's pretty spread out. They've got a lot of land to use, and they use it, but they don't put anything on it. Maybe the idea is that they're going to grow stuff later, but whatever. So I recommend, that one ride would be the one thing worth going to. It doesn't matter anymore, because I got news for you folks. You're not going to Shanghai Disney anytime soon. None of us are. It's a little sad. Anyways, I'm going to sign off. I will see you guys later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Oh, I have to turn on my background music. Give me a second. Sam Gray. There we go. Walk out of here. Hey. And I appreciate it. I will talk to you guys at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This is Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide. There's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. That's in the afternoons. That's where I go through full clips when nobody else will. When I don't take little chunks of stuff and go, see, I was right about this thing, even though I took it out of context. I don't Josh Hawley stuff. They post it, I do the whole damn thing. Ugh. Sometimes it's tough, but I can never be accused of taking something out of context because it's context they provide. And I'm glad to do it. You guys are wonderful. Take care, and I will. Oh, I have to put I've got the wrong screen on. 1 second. 3, 2, and yeah. I will see you guys later this afternoon. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Cheers.
you